Hello, folks, and welcome to Beyond the Paranormal podcast. It's another Tuesday. Man, it seems like last Tuesday was gone, and now here's another Tuesday. So, I swear, here we go again with these sounds. Anyway, we have a great show for you guys and gals out there tonight. But first, please, stop. Please get out there and subscribe to the Beyond the Paranormal podcast YouTube page and our Facebook page. Man, those dings are really getting to me. And also want to welcome our awesome co-host, one of our awesome co-hosts,
Critter Creep Show. Hey, creeps.
RhiAnna will be here as soon as she can. So, hey, people doing things what they got to do. So anyway, we have an awesome. That's right. Got to get them bills did. We got awesome guests on here tonight. We have D Starrick, founder of Southern Illinois Monster Hunters, cryptozoologist, survivalist, minister, explorer, and photographer. Baseball player, football player, you name it, everything in there. He's everything in the woods. So,
oh man, jack of all trades.
He is a jack of all trades. And folks, we're just having a good time. We're just, if you can't come on here and have a good time with us, then there's something wrong. But anyway, Zach, welcome to the show, man, and glad to have you on here.
Pleasure to be here. The honor's all mine.
So, buddy, here these. I'm gonna fix this here in just a second. So, Critina, you want to start this off while I work on this?
Well, yeah. So, Zach, what have you been up to? I know you said you were working today, but what have you been up to in terms of hunting for old Bigfoot? I know you and you guys have been up to quite a bit working on a documentary, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, we just back April 3rd, we wrapped on a documentary that I produced and directed called Hunt for the Shawnee Sasquatch, and it stars the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters and the ECBRO. It was our first time doing a joint investigation like this, and I believe some of the techniques that we used during this investigation was actually the first time ever seen on camera or used in the field. We used a lot of, out of the norm style techniques with our investigation. We had people from 3 different states in one base camp, and, all different walks of life. We had Daniel Benoit and Jessica Mora from the ECBRO out in Virginia, and then we had our occult researcher for the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters, Stacy Coughlin, in from Thibodaux, Louisiana, which is an hour south of New Orleans, and he drove all the way up here to join us. And then it was myself and my cousin Ben. Unfortunately, a few members of the team couldn't make it because of work, and then our security, Gail LaFoon, he wasn't able to make it because he had suffered an injury working, and so he could not attend. But we had a lot of good time. We had a lot of fellowship and everything. We found a lot of good sign. We actually found 12 or more tracks. Some of them you could see where there was a trackway. Some of them were real defined. We found quite a bit sign in the area between teepee structures, X's, archways, the bends, and the trees, pinned over trees. And we actually got a couple audio files caught when we would run our audio recorder overnight while we slept. And it was a good deal. I mean, we didn't catch one on camera, but we actually laid eyes on 4 creatures. And both of them was 2 at one time.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. So y'all were definitely hitting some hot spots there, it sounds like.
Yes, we were. We were in the Shawnee National Forest whenever we filmed this, and we were in my research area that we codenamed No Man's Land. And the reason I call it No Man's Land is because it's exactly that. It's up an old logging road about 5 miles back into the bush off of the main road. And I mean, it's potholes. You got to cross creeks, go up and down hills. There's ruts in the road. The road washes out quite a bit, and so you will not be able to get back in there unless you're driving a 4x4, or you actually have the testicular fortitude, as I put it, to actually drive a little 2-wheel drive vehicle back in there.
I like
So
that. Testicular
it was
fortitude.
it was a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I mean, we actually had a couple sightings between me, Daniel, and Stacy. Uh, Stacy and Ben were dispatched, and they found some sign along this logging trail. Daniel and Jessica found some sign on their own whenever I dispatched them, and I mean, we had a group, two guys, a, a guy and his brother-in-law down from Chicagoland area, and they joined us, and we had a lot of good time and everything, a lot of good times there at camp, and it was just primitive camping and everything. A lot of people, a majority of the camp, they slept in tents, but me and my cousin Ben, we slept in hammocks and everything, um, and we ate like kings. I'll say that. I mean, it was a beast feast the entire weekend. We had, I cooked up the first night. We cooked up 3 pounds of ground venison and made them into sloppy joes.
Oh,
We
man.
went and
But
the next day I cooked up a dozen eggs, and Ben cooked up about 2 dozen sausage links, and then the next night Daniel made barbecue chicken. So we ate like kings. So if anybody wants to come camping with us next year, you will not go hungry.
That's
If you
highly
go hungry, it's your own darn fault.
Lord, I'm going to drink some water on that because you go. Oh, boy, I tell you.
Taste buds
Oh,
are
I tell you.
snapping.
Lord of mercy. You talk about
But
some.
really, yeah, well, the venison, some of the venison that we brought, one of them was actually a deer that I shot here back in November. I harvested the first day of first gun season here in Southern Illinois, and then the other 2 pounds Stacy brought up from Louisiana that his father had shot. So we ate pretty good.
Well, it looks like Stacy and Daniel both are in the chat, and Stacy had said he is a lot of things. I guess earlier when we said you were a Zach of all trades, and then Stacy also said we had a blast but missed our brothers. And
Yep.
Daniel said, yeah, it was delicious all the way around. And then Stacy just mentioned Zach, Ben, and Daniel did cook some good food.
I'll just
The
go.
only thing I'm sad we didn't get into, because Stacy brought up he was going to make gator fillets and Cajun sausage for supper.
Oh, man.
Man, I love fried
Yeah.
gator with orange like remoulade. Man, that's good eating.
Well, the gator fillets he brought up, they got Troy Landry's label on them.
Oh, nice. Shoot him.
Yeah.
Shoot him. Get on there.
Shoot 'em.
Shoot him. What did they say? Motherfucker. Oh.
Yeah, my cousin Dwayne actually met Troy Landry one time, and he said, "I'll be your nephew, Troy." And Troy goes, "Just call me Nunky."
Lord have
Sounds like
mercy.
y'all have a good time while you're out there too. I mean, I'm sure it can get a little intense at times being in a.
It did. I'll be honest with you. That night we didn't catch it on camera when it happened, but we were walking down the road. Because Stacy brought with him, he brought a pendulum and dowsing rods,
Oh,
and
Lord.
these are unloaded dowsing rods. They're 12 to 14-inch copper rods, and he goes and he does energy work, for the best way I could put it, and everything. He clears his mind and he reaches out into the energy that surrounds us, to go and find what he's looking for, and he'll ask his pendulum yes or no answer questions, and depending which way the pendulum spins, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, that's a yes or a no. And
Right.
then the dowsing rods, he focuses his energy onto the energy field around us, and he will be mentally asking those rods whatever he's looking for, where it is, and he'll either use one rod or 2 rods, and the one rod will go and start pointing to wherever he's asking where something is, and that's actually how we found the trackway on their, what we believe to be their travel route, and then also where a lot of the structures that him and Ben found, that he used his dowsing rod to actually locate them.
And dowsing rods have been used for thousands of years. I mean, like it goes way back. I know it can be used as a way to find water.
Yep.
That's been commonly used, especially like even in the Western United States. And then now it's very prevalent within like energy manipulators, Wiccans, whoever you want to call them, whatever you want to call them. You know, like people who manipulate energies. So
And a lot of people, with what Stacy does with his energy work, a lot of people that are Bigfooters will count that as woo. I really don't give a rip because here's the thing: if it works and it delivers results, it's a tool in our toolbox that we can use.
Yes, sir.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
Because he'll sit over a map. He'll be all the way down south in Louisiana, and we'll be here in Illinois doing a field investigation, and he'll be there with us in real time, working with his dowsing rods and working where his pendulum is. And he's actually helped us locate all the way in Louisiana while we're in the field, find a bedding area that we found back in May of last year. He was able to go and locate, where structures were, trackways. He can even go and, like I said, actually identify a travel route that we actually found sign where something big had been moving through the area.
And I could see how that would work. I mean, especially with energy work, because there are a lot of cultures that believe that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to name it, is something that can also manipulate energy. Like there are certain cultures that believe that they're kind of like an intermediary in between like realms, like especially if you look at indigenous folks. That can be a common belief, or in other countries, like that's what my research kind of led me to.
Right.
Kind of like
And I'll just put this out there and everything because people will be like, well, he's woo. He's probably thinks that Bigfoot's something spiritual. I don't believe that because the encounters that I've had, like physical encounters where it's actually been hands on, that I believe, these things are 100% flesh and blood. They don't cloak and they do not go in and out of portals and they do not mind speak.
They're
But
not sitting. Yeah.
the term zapping, I believe, is tied in with the same thing as infrasound. Because I believe back in May on an investigation, I was actually struck with infrasound because I was looking it up the day after the investigation because me and my cousin Ben, we were investigating a place in Franklin County, doing a night investigation. And I went in, and Stacy was in Louisiana communicating with us through Messenger, and he said there's one inside the pine trees watching you about 100 yards in. And Ben had further reach with that 12 gauge he has. And I told him, I said, you got the range, you cover me. I'm going to go in there and flush this thing out. And I went inside the pines with my gun, and I walked literally 50 yards inside the tree line, and I walked 100 yards from south to north, and I came out the other side, and then I came up there with him. And right as soon as I got to where Ben was with the camera, I mean, I had a massive headache hit me. I was very nauseous. I was breaking out in cold sweats.
Shoot.
And when we got back to the house, we were interviewing the property owner who had actually seen these things. And Ben had actually been there whenever a majority of the happenings actually happened. And it's on our YouTube channel where we were interviewing the property owner. You could tell I was sick, very sick. And I drove 45 minutes from that place back to my home, and literally within the 45 minutes, I stopped 5 or 6 times on the side of the road to either throw up or dry heave. Yeah, it was affecting me that bad, and it screwed me up for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Can you explain a little bit? Because that's the first time I'd ever heard of that kind of encounter. So you had a particular name, call it infrared. What was it called?
Infrasound.
Infrasound. So what does that all entail? I mean, I know you mentioned you had
Well,
like zapped.
Infrasound and zapping, I believe, are the same thing. Infrasound is actually a scientific term for something that our actual military is actually weaponized. And it's a low bass sound that's below audible human hearing. And all kinds of big animals use it. Elephants use it, tigers use it, lions use it, rhinos use it, even alligators use it. and it's used to disorient their prey, and it will cause a whole bunch of anatomical problems for whoever's affecting it. And really, there's no protection from it unless you use very special noise canceling headphones, because it affects your equilibrium. And you got to go and use noise canceling headphones to protect your hearing. But if you go and are prolonged exposure to infrasound, you can actually die from it.
Oh wow!
Because it'll actually cause bowel displacement. It will cause you to lose control of your facilities, and it will actually stop your heart.
Wow, that's intense. So is this something that's usually related to maybe like apex predators? Is that what we're thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Folks, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat room. Crit will be reading them here in just a few moments. Again, please go out and subscribe to our YouTube link, Beyond the Paranormal Podcast. And Zach, go ahead and throw yours out there too, since we're telling everybody go subscribe. Please go subscribe. Go do it now.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there at the end of the show. You can find me on all forms of social media. I'm on Facebook under my name. Also, Southern Illinois Monster Hunters on Facebook. Hunt for the Shawnee Sasquatch movie page on Facebook. My outdoor page on Facebook, Duke Randall Outdoors. You can follow me on Instagram at Duke Randall Official. On TikTok as the Real 618 Cowboy. You can find me on YouTube under my name, and you can follow all my episodes of Duke Randall Outdoors with my camping and survival videos. You can go and follow our YouTube show, Mysterious Illinois, where we go and we hunt for various cryptids. And then find me on Twitter at DR Outdoors 2021.
Man, there's so many questions I've got going through my mind right now because I'm very interested in this, because Daniel opened me up to some more information on all this. But for you, and I asked him the same question, but I know
Spit them out and give them to me.
I know everybody's different in their own quest. But when you're on an investigation, and again, like I said, I asked Daniel this too, when you come on a possible, I'm going to say just crime scene or just a scene of this, of a possible Bigfoot sighting, and he's been there and it's not been very long, what do you process? What goes through your mind? What's the first thing you look for? Do you just have to say, calm down, let's just, take one step at a time? What is it?
Well, here's the thing. I'm a hunter. I'm an outdoorsman. I've been an outdoorsman all my life. I've hunted turkey, deer, coyotes, raccoons, and I've done that, and I've done trapping all my life. And whenever I'm in that kind of a scenario, I try to go and gather myself, because whenever you're in there and you find fresh sign, your adrenaline kicks in.
Sure.
So I got to center myself and actually pay attention to my surroundings, because whenever I'm in that kind of a situation, all my senses open up, and that hunter sense opens up. And any little twig break, I'm over there looking in the direction that it came, and I'm looking very deep into the foliage, trying to actually see what made that sound, whether it be a squirrel or something bigger. And the best thing I can say is you got to remain calm. You do not want to fly off the handle, especially if you're out there unarmed and everything, because when you're out there unarmed, there's so many variables that can happen. You could get it probably wouldn't even be a Bigfoot or a dog man. You could be a pack of wolves or coyotes, and those things are ambushing pack animals, or a mountain lion. You've got to go and watch around and especially look behind you, because with a pack of coyotes or wolves, they're going to come at you from both sides and get you. With a cat, a mountain lion, bobcat, lynx, they're going to be coming at you from behind, because any kind of big cat will not attack you looking in the face. My next door neighbor told me this, because he's from India. Whenever they go on tiger hunts, they go and they wear masks on the back of their heads, because a big cat will not attack you looking you straight in the face.
Never knew that.
Hi, RhiAnna.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
This is our
Howdy, ma'am.
Nice to meet you. I'm RhiAnna.
We're so glad you're here.
Yes.
So we've got a very active chat going on over here, Zach. It seems like you're a popular feller. So let's get in over here and let's see what people got to say. So it looks like Daniel, he was here last week. So he said, yeah, none of us got to taste that gator meat. Zach went home with it. So and then
well, Daniel, you shouldn't have waited all day to start cooking that chicken either.
And then Jessica's there as well. And she said, hey, Zach, hello to all.
Hey.
Hi, Sissy. I love you.
Oh. And then Gail LaFoon Jr.
That's my coworker, and that's my security guard.
He said he missed all that good cooking. So
Gail is a member of the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters. He's a relatively new member. He joined us back. He came on board back in August, and he's our security. He's the one that runs all kinds of security for us whenever we're doing events, and also in the field. He's the one that's got our 6.
Hey, that's a good person to have around.
Yeah.
Oh, you see him, you'll see why. He's 6'6".
Yeah.
Oh yeah. At 5'3", I'd be like, "Hello." Anyway, it's like the Munchkin Man. And then I guess Daniel agreed with something that you said earlier. I think it was in relation to Bigfoot not being a spiritual thing; that it's a tangible, flesh and blood thing. Stacy said we will have a meeting with that particular Bigfoot again after Zap and Zach.
That's on Stacy's bucket list, because after that investigation, him and me and Ben were talking, and he says, I want to have a run in with that one, because he can actually, with his pendulum, actually determine how many Bigfoot are in the area, the size and weight. He'll just run up a scale of numbers and actually possibly give us a definitive size and weight. And he'll ask what kind of hair color it is. Even back in where we were in no man's land, he established that there was 4 Bigfoot in the area. 2 of them were juveniles, and one was an alpha male and one was an alpha female. The alpha male was black, and he said 12 feet tall. The female was brown and approximately 8 feet tall, I believe. And then the 2 juveniles were a black and a gray one. And they were easily about 6 feet tall. Well, after he did that, we're actually, the filmographer, Joe Turry, who filmed it for us, was actually down there interviewing Stacy for his part of the documentary. And we're just up there just chilling out in camp. And Stacy goes, Zach, Daniel. And I said, yeah, what's up? And he goes, get down here. I think I see something. And we went down there with our spotting scopes and our viewfinders. And I actually locked eyes with one. And sure enough, it was a little black one and a little gray one. The little black one was peeking around a tree. And then the little gray one had his face pressed up against a rock. And he was peeking up over the top where you can only see the top of his head and his eyes, peeking up over that rock. That was the first day.
And that's when John skedaddled. Right, John? John would have kicked rocks out of there. That's what he said last week.
You would have seen this fat man burning rubber like a Mustang. Hot rod Mustang coming out of there. There'd been dust flying, and you thought there was a tornado coming out of there. That'd been me.
And then the next day, while Ben and Stacy were off on their own recon, and Daniel and Jessica were back down the road doing their own recon, I heard something moving off to the north side of camp. And it was just me and James and Chi-Town, the 2 gentlemen that joined us from Chicago. And they were busy cooking and everything. And I heard something move while I'm monitoring the radios with the guys that being in the field. And I heard something move, and I got up and I walked over there with my parabolic, and I was scanning the tree line, and you could hear something moving inside the tree line. And it was really thick. and I had a spotting scope viewfinder on that parabolic, and I stuck it up to my eye, and I shot it right down where I heard the tree snap, and I look up, and I see a big black hand wrapped around a tree, and right as I looked at it, the hand came off the tree, and you could see one eye just peeking around that tree, and then I was scanning with that thing after I saw that one, and literally about 10 feet away was a brown female standing right there in the open watching us.
Wow.
And I could tell it was a female because she had the breasts, the pendulous breasts on her.
Jeez.
So Stacy finding out that we were dealing with 2 male juveniles, an alpha male and an alpha female, and then actually laying eyes on all 4 of them confirmed me that he was dead on with his findings with his pendulum.
Stacy said in the chat that was an intense night, and they also said to ask you about playing bumper car with Bigfoot.
Oh yes, that happened here back in 2016, 2017. I live on a cattle ranch out here in rural Williamson County, Illinois, and I had gone. This was back right after I came onto the scene publicly as a researcher. I had been going and doing private research for 10 years. And I started the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters back in 2015. And I was on a solo night hunt. And I was out on my property where we had gone and we'd been losing cows. And you would find whole calves literally just ripped in half. You would find big feeder cows with their neck broke or their jaws broke. And I was out there trying to find whatever it was at night, because evidently what was happening, it was doing all this at night. It wasn't happening during the day. So I was out there riding around on my side-by-side, and I had an axe handle to do tree knocking with me, and I had my 20 gauge shotgun. And I was riding along, and I just had the inclination to go and shut off the side-by-side and go dark. And I'm sitting there in the driver's seat behind the wheel, just sitting in the dark, just listening. And I hear something coming towards me, just really kicking up the leaves. And next thing you know, bang, that thing run right into my side-by-side, and the side-by-side rocked up on 2 wheels, and I fell out the driver's side.
Oh my gosh. That'll wake you
up. And then it did. I went and I grabbed my shotgun, and I got up to one knee, and I kicked my headlamp on, and there was the one I call the Thunder Giant. And he's easily 10 feet tall, about 4 foot wide in the shoulder, and possibly weighs close to 1,000 pounds. He hit that side-by-side so much that I have a real heavy toolbox, an old miner's style toolbox in there, and that thing weighs close to 100 pounds. Whenever he hit that side-by-side, that thing slid across that bed of that side-by-side and busted the lid open and busted the latch. He hit with so much force. And he was walking back up the trail that I just drove down, going back up into the higher timber.
So you're a shotgun.
But that's only
actually landed any shots? Have you successfully hit anything?
Other than hunting game animals, yes. Because here's the thing. My 20 gauge shotgun is a single shot firearm. I'm pretty fast whenever it comes to reloading, but here's the thing. If I put one in him and and I don't take him down, he's going to be pretty upset. But here's the thing. It's not the one that you see, it's the others you don't see that you got to be mindful of. Because there's been several times that I've actually had to throw a round in the air, pop a round off, because these things were getting too close to us. We've been on night hunts where we've actually had blue tick hounds with us doing night investigations, and the dog would get off on a trail, and we'd let her go follow that trail, and then she'd get away from us. Well, back in 2016 in November, me and my cousin Kyle, we were doing our first ever SIMH camp out, and we were on the night hunt following that dog. And we sat down because we've been walking for about 2 or 3 hours. And I said, take 5, smoke them if you got them. And we're sitting there in the dark. and we hear her, Sally, the blue tick, take off, and we hear her and just take off. And next thing you know, you hear her yelp, and I kicked the lights on, and she came running back to us with a real bad limp on her back leg.
Now, me and Bigfoot are gonna have a beef if it's gonna be banging up on some dogs, because I can't handle that. I can't do it.
Well, honestly, I believe that Bigfoot and domesticated dogs don't actually get along because you hear a lot of stories of how people will go and they live where they've actually seen these creatures, and then a couple nights later they'll hear commotion, hear the dog barking at something. They'll come out and they'll find that dog laying there dead with its neck broke or its jaw gone.
Now I can't deal with it. Nope. That's why my dogs are in the house, safe and sound with Mama. We ain't got to deal with all that.
But that was one of 3 physical encounters that I've actually had, and I count myself very fortunate to actually made it out unscathed with them. The first one happened actually on that same camp out. My cousin and me, we would take night watches every night. And we had a logbook that we would write down if we heard anything, put a timestamp next to it so that way we could keep it for our records. And he had already gone in his tent after his watch, and it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, I think. And you could hear something messing around in our camp. Well, the dog was in the tent with him, and he had the fire stoked before he went to bed, and right there between my tent and the fire, you could actually see the silhouette of this thing, and you could see the lid on our cooler lift up, and you could hear it rummaging around through the Kroger bags where we'd have kept all of our lunch meat and stuff. And I sat there and I'm just laying there watching this thing's shadow, and then it gets up and it walks away, and about 5 minutes later, I'm starting to, I sleep with one eye open, but I'm trying not to doze back off. And I feel something hit my tent. And my tent starts to, rock a little bit. And I'm laying at an angle in that tent because it's so small. And I feel something kick my boot through the tent. And I thought it was Kyle screwing with me. And I said, Kyle, is that you out there? Well, he's got a terrible poker face. If he gets busted doing something, he giggles. So I said, Kyle, I swear if it's you out there, I'm going to come out of there and you're going to be digging my foot out of your hind end. Well, next thing you know, my tent, because I had some really deep tent pegs holding that tent down. And that one peg comes right up out of the ground, and where the end where my feet's at is up in the air, and that thing is pulling that tent up and down, and I'm screaming and everything, and next thing you know, it finally jerks all the other 3 pegs out of the ground, and it starts dragging me off in the tent with it.
Oh no!
So I start just kicking, throwing, cussing, throwing a fit, screaming at this thing, and I must have kicked this thing about 4 or 5 times, and you'd have better give kicking a fridge door.
Jeez.
That's how stout this thing was.
Shoot.
And finally, it let me go, and you could hear it grumble and then take off running back into the tree line because we were camping in a meadow up on the knob, and that happened in 2016. The other one happened here back in March of this past year. I like to go camping. I got a base camp out here on my property that's a private camping area. And I like to go hammock camping and everything. It's better than sleeping in the cold dirt in a tent or on a cot, and all of that is healthier for your back sleeping in a hammock. So I'm just chilling out. It's about 1:30. And I finally start to doze off, and I'm laying there, but I've got one eye open, really just listening figuratively, with one eye open figuratively, just listening, because whenever I'm in the woods, I'm a light sleeper. But at my own house, I could sleep through a hurricane. And um, I hear literally, I had the shotgun right there in the chair next to my hammock. All I had to do was roll out and grab that gun if I needed it. But this thing moved in such stealth that this thing was on me in 3 steps, and all I could do was scream. It came running towards where my fire was, and I sleep with a black rainfly tarp. So I guess it kind of like blended in with the darkness. I don't know. But this thing ran into my rain tarp and in turn hit me in the hammock and spun the hammock out. And the hammock swung with such velocity and momentum, it ejected me. And I flew out of that hammock about 4 or 5 feet, about 2 foot off the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
And I went and I'm screaming bloody murder trying to scare this thing off. And I literally ran on my knees over to where the gun was. And I went up underneath the rain tarp and kicked the light on. And there was um, a black and grayish color one walking back down the ATV trail. And this was in the same area where I had the encounter back in 2016, 2017, where it hit my side by side. But this one was a different size. And out here, because I'm a third generation cattle rancher, and everybody in my family, every generation since we moved to the area has actually had a Bigfoot sighting.
Oh.
And we have one out here that we believe has been responsible for a lot of livestock killings and coming up to people's houses and being seen crossing the road. We've dubbed him El Diablo. And I believe that was the same one that came into my camp that night.
Jeez.
So when they're killing the livestock and things like that, in your opinion or from what you've studied, is it a food source or is it just like a dominance thing, or like establishing their area, you think?
Yeah.
I really don't know. I mean, wherever we would find them, it was just like it was killing to kill, killing for sport. There was no meat touch. I mean, it's not like it was killed by a cat, because a cat will kill its prey and take it off and sometimes take it up a tree.
Yep.
A canine pack animal, like coyotes or wolves, they'll tear the hindquarters out and start to disembowel it while it's still alive. But none of the meat was touched. None of the entrails, the heart, the liver, the lungs, the kidneys, they were all still there. And those are prime organs that any kind of predator will go for. They were all still there. It's just like this thing was killing to kill.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like dominance, to me. I mean, and I'm not a Bigfoot researcher or nothing, but kind of sounds like stay out of my way. This is my area,
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. That's cat. Other than working on the river, doing forking for Southern Farm Supply and stuff like that. That cattle ranching is my livelihood, and when he starts doing that, he's messing with my income, and he's messing with food, putting food on the table for my family. So I take great offense to that, and sometimes I'll go in there and waste a whole box of shells, running around screaming like a madman and shooting, trying, if it's still in the area, try to run it off.
It looks like we've got the chat's getting pretty active again, so I was going to play catch up a little bit here. Some of that, and I'll start out where we're at right now. Daniel had stated cats usually cover their kill on the ground to return to it later.
Yeah, they'll cover it in a brush pile, or they'll bury it.
And then Stacy said, I found a dog man in the same area after Zach got rolled out of the hammock. Bigfoot could have been warning Zach on that encounter.
That's another thing, because I told Stacy about it the day after it happened, and he told me about that, and he said, well, send me coordinates, GPS coordinates of the area that I was in, and I'll drop him a pin on Google Maps, and I'll send the coordinates to him through Messenger, and he'll print out a 2D map, black and white, and he will go and look at it that way and do his pendulum and his dowsing rods that way.
That's That's interesting. The Dogman thing, that's relatively new to me. I didn't know a whole lot about Dogman until like the
Really?
last couple of years. Yeah. Like somehow that code's totally slipped out of my periphery. And that is terrifying. Like, I don't know how familiar our listeners are with Dogman, but like, do you want to kind of describe like what Dogman is and like kind of like what the threat is with Dogman?
Things that the three that I've seen, the first time it happened, and my little brother was there with me, and this was on the 4th of July in 2017, and it was literally, I'll show you right here. If the camera will turn around. Well, hold on a minute. I guess I can't turn my camera around. But literally, right over here, about 150 yards, there's a valley down here between us and our neighbor's property. And it happened right in that valley. The three that I've seen, they've all been black color. Canine head, body of a man,
Yep.
and the back feet of a canine with a tail, and they have hands like a man. The first one that happened, me and my brother, we were walking our neighbor's kids home because every 4th of July, everybody out here in our little neighborhood, they all come over to my grandparents' place, and we'll have fireworks, we'll have potluck, and we'll have fellowship. And so the parents, they had to work the next day, and the boys were wanting to stick around and walk home. And I told the mom and dad, I said, "Don't worry, we'll take care of the boys. We'll walk them home." And my brother is best friends with the two boys, so it gave him some extra time to hang out with them. So we walk up the main road, and on the way home, I stopped and I got a .22 rifle. Because out here we've got copperheads and eastern diamondbacks and timber rattlers. So I take that .22 as snake repellent.
Yeah.
And we're walking on the main road, and some idiot almost ran us over with his truck. So we go and we get the boys home, and I asked my brother, I'm like, "So how you want to do this? We can either cut across the field and go in through the woods and come up behind the house, or we can get back on the main road." He goes, "There's idiots on this road. I'm not getting back on that road." And it was getting right about, it was right after dark, and it was a full moon that night, and clear as day, no overcast, and it was, I wanted to say it was probably dropping off between 50 and 60 degrees, just how cold it was in the air. And we come down, and there's a creek that runs in the bottom of this valley between our properties, and on both sides, cattails grow up pretty tall. And we get to the cattails, and I said, "You still want to go through the woods, or you want to get back on the road?" He goes, "Screw the road. We're going through the woods." And we start walking down to where the cattails open up next to the group of trees, and we were going to come up the four-wheeler trail behind the house. And as we're walking, I'm hearing something moving in the creek, and I heard a rock get kicked over and splash down in the water. And I said, "Are you throwing rocks?" He said, "No." And I said, "Hold on, stop for a minute." And I noticed all the bugs had quit chirping. All the crickets had shut up. All the frogs had shut up. Even the whippoorwill wasn't even going. And the whippoorwill don't shut up for nothing. And I told him, I said, "You just get over here on my left side. Keep me between you and the creek." And we were walking again, and you hear something splash in the water like it tripped. And I said, "Stop." And I put my arm out and I grabbed him, and I said, "Do you got your phone with you that's got the light on it?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Give it to me." And he had one of them old Samsung flip phones that had the little flashlight built into it. And it's not bright enough, like no 600 lumen, but it's enough to keep you from tripping over your own feet. And I started shining that light up into those the caneries and the cattails. And right in front of us, about 15, 20 feet away from us, I locked eyes with something in the caneries, and it was amber colored eyes. just looking right at us. And you could see, and I thought it was an owl, but the eyes were too far apart, and then they blinked. And I started backing him up. I'm like, let's turn around and go back to the road. We started walking, and this thing, instead of going back the other way, it was coming up behind us. And you could hear it moving, and you could hear it sort of grumbling like a pit bull would. And I said, come on, let's pick up the pace, let's go. And we start jogging. And this thing is still keeping up to us, literally staying within 10 to 15 yards behind us, and you can still hear it. And this thing is really starting to splash the water now, trying to keep up. And I said, there's the road, let's go, let's haul our tails and go. And we took off in a dead sprint for the road. And I looked behind us where the moon was still coming up in the sky, and you could see a hand reach up out of the cattails and push them out of the way. And you could see this thing come up over the bank and roll out like it was trying to stand up while it was and not stand up, crawl out while it was running. And you can see this thing get up, and we come up the road, and we got up to the dusk of dawn light, and this thing was chasing us up the road. And we got this thing on one side of that dusk of dawn light on the street light between him and us. And he just stood there on that edge of that light, gritting his teeth at us. And I kept my brother like this, and I kept my eyes, and I locked eyes with this thing. And I told him, I said, don't run. I had a hold of him by the shirt, and I said, don't you run. And I had that rifle. I know a 22 rifle ain't going to do nothing. You can't kill nothing with a 22 rifle unless you're breathing down its neck. But if anything, I was going to use this thing for a club to club this thing.
Yeah.
And it turned around and walked right back down the road. And we ran to the house after this thing got out of sight. And we got inside and double locked all the doors and windows.
Oh, wow. That's pretty intense.
You're telling me my brother still has nightmares about it. He terrified him.
I'd say so. I would say so.
Because my brother has had so many encounters. He's had encounters with Bigfoot too, but he won't talk about them. And with that one dogman encounter, it really pushed him over the edge to the point where he's now I call him a modern day Renee DeHenden. He's pro kill. He's out for these blood with these things because they've caused him so many nightmares and so much trauma.
Sure.
Yeah. And you mentioned the throwing the rocks, and that seems to be a pretty common thing. Do you feel like that's like a warning sign for them when they start throwing those rocks? Because you hear that come up a lot.
Let's just get the crap out of there. That's what I'm saying. Get on my property.
I believe so, because you're referring to Bigfoot, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I believe that Bigfoot is something flesh and blood. People say it's a relic, hominoid. Some say it's an undiscovered great ape. Some say it's a Neanderthal. Some say it's some human ape hybrid, which is impossible. Because if you look back in history, because I'm a historian as well, Joseph Stalin tried to make an army of super soldiers crossbred with chimpanzee DNA, chimpanzee sperm, and a human female's egg, and it was a stalemate because they're not the same. We're considered by science human ape hybrids, but we're still too far apart in differences for these things to actually be able to crossbreed with us.
Wow. That's kind of icky when you think about it.
It is. Nasty.
It's morbid.
It is.
Yeah.
RhiAnna, you got a question?
No, I just wanted to say in the comments, Joe Torrey says, "Hey all, hey Zach," and Stacy replied, "Hey Joe."
Hello, Joseph. Joe, he's one of my good buddies. He's actually the guy that filmed the documentary for us. And I will throw this out there. His production company actually has another documentary that me and my cousin Ben actually starred in that released back in Valentine's Day of last year called Creature from Big Muddy, an Illinois Bigfoot legend. It's available on Amazon Prime and Tubi.
Hey, Joe.
So you said Adventure of Big Muddy?
Creature from Big Muddy.
Creature from Big Muddy. Gotcha.
Mud Creek. Up Mud Creek. Let's see.
Mafia. Remember that?
What?
The Mud Creek Mafia.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that.
Okay.
Let's see. I've got some questions here as well because, like I said, there's so many questions I had, and Critina's just like banging them out. God.
Well, I mean, like, I love this stuff. You know, like we're all from Eastern Kentucky. You know, so like we're from the mountains.
Whereabouts in Eastern Kentucky?
Well, I'm from a place called Garrett, which is an old coal mining town. And
that whole area is coal mining country. Yeah, you drive between Harlan and Everts, it's like a big coal mine museum.
Yeah. The town I grew up in, all the houses except for ours in our holler, they were built on the side of a mountain, you know, right next to where the coal camp was, and right next to the railroad station. So.
And it's cool too that when you drive over Jenkins, they still and other places around, they still have those coal camp houses, like where the coal miners live at. They still have them here, and they're still functioning today.
My aunt lives over in Jenkins, so we went over that way quite a bit. So I know exactly what you're talking about. So it's definitely a heavily wooded area. Over 48% of Kentucky is still wooded. You know, like not village.
Grew up. My mom's house was on an Allegheny up Hellier, which is the whole road going is camp house, and her house is at the foot of the mountain. There's like this little valley, and in between these huge mountains where they would have mines on either side. So yeah, I grew up playing in the woods, and yeah.
I know a lot of this is interesting stuff for you, especially the evidence that you capture. But for you, Zach, man, what's the most interesting piece of evidence that you've actually captured? That just still, you know, fires that fuel for you to still look for this?
Well, there's people out there that go and, you know, they go out there and they say they have photographic evidence every week of Bigfoot that they shot that day. I've only had 2 opportunities in my life to actually make that claim, and I'll stake my reputation on it, and I will go to my grave saying that I caught Bigfoot on camera twice.
Well,
the first time, this was back in 2017, and this was actually in the same area that my base camp is actually at here on my property. And I was just out riding on the 4-wheeler because my granddad sometime will send me out after a big storm and check the fence perimeters to see if there's any fence down that needs to be replaced or patched or new posts set in. So I was just out taking pictures and everything, and we don't get good signal out there in the woods, but you know, we take pictures and everything and take video just for kicks. And I had gone and built a small little lean-to that I was going to use as a turkey blind. And I was taking a picture of that to show my grandpa. And I went and I posted that picture on Facebook, and I said, check out my cool turkey blind I built. And but a couple hours after that, a researcher messaged me on Facebook, and he says, you caught something in that photograph. And I'm like, say what? And he sent me the picture after he drew a circle around for me to look. And trust me, this is not pareidolia. There is a very definitive silhouette of a figure standing right there. You can actually make out a head, a shoulder, an elbow, and a leg.
Jeez.
Looking right at you. And this thing was 20, 30 yards away from me, and I didn't even notice it.
Oh, wow. That gives you the heebie-jeebies.
Yes. And then back in 2018, I believe it was, I was at a local paranormal group, the Little Egypt Ghost Society, that's ran by my good friend Bruce Klein. I was at a lecture of his, and there was a young photographer there. And he was taking his pictures, and I asked him, I said, what's the camera for, sir? And he said, I'm from Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, and I'm doing a project for a class that's called Small Town Illinois. And I said, He said, "Oh yeah, what town you got?" He goes, "Crab Orchard." And I said, "Oh, you can't have Crab Orchard without the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters." I was just joking with him, and he goes, "Okay," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll be glad to. What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I go out on night investigations and everything." And I said, "If you want to interview me while we're on the hunt and everything, bring your camera, a notepad, recorder, whatever you want to bring. I'll take you out." And he joined up with me about 2 weeks later, and he's just out there and he's shooting all kinds of photographs and everything. Some of them he had me posing and everything. Some of them was actual sign on the property that we had actually found, and we were walking up in that same area where base camp is, and we call it Wildcat Ridge because you'll go up there and find on your trail cameras, you'll find a whole bunch of bobcats on your trail cameras up there. And I was showing him this real funky looking tree that grows really weird at the top because it's um, an old hickory tree that goes straight up, but it forks at the top, and then the forks they go around into an S curve, and it looks like there's like a seat with a backrest at the top where you could actually sit in and lean up against and deer hunt out of it. And I was telling him about this um, tree. He goes, "That's cool. That's a cool tree. Let me get a picture of it." And he's trying to get pictures of it, and his lens won't focus in the dark. He says, "Move your light around so that way my lens will focus." So me being dumb C plus hillbilly, instead of taking my hat off and moving the hat around, I'm doing my head like this. And the whole time that light is going over in there and I'm seeing eye shine. And I stopped, and once I locked in on the eye shine to make sure what it was, he's like, "Bring your light back over here. I'm trying to get this thing to focus." He goes, "Screw that. Look over here." And I said, "Adam, do you see these eyes?" He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Get that camera going. Get it going. Take pictures. Boom, boom, boom." And he started putting that thing on a speed run, flashing and everything going off like a strobe light. And we're going through the pictures on the viewfinder on that thing. And he found one picture. He took like 12 pictures, and he looked at the one. He says, "I think we got him." And there's clear enough. There's two eyes and what you can make out of a silhouette of this thing leaning up against a tree, sitting down on its hind end up against a tree.
Posing. So, yeah. Look at me.
And it gets more hairy, no pun intended. He's sitting there like this, checking his viewfinder. I still have not taken my eyes off of this thing. I have not taken my light off of this thing. And you can see this thing get up on all fours and start knuckle walking towards us. And it was baring its teeth at us like a chimpanzee. And he's still sitting there looking at his camera and everything. And I said, "I'd cover my ears if I were you." And he said, "What?" And I pulled the hammer back on that shotgun. Boom. And the two that was over here that we got the picture of took off. And he starts freaking out and everything. And then, like I said, it's not the ones that you see that you need to worry about. It's the ones you don't see.
Yeah.
Literally, whenever after those two in front of us took off, we heard two more down on the hillside below us, about 10 yards away, take off with them.
Now, here's the thing. I just thought about. I'm sorry, RhiAnna. Go ahead.
Gail Laffoon said something had horns that night in the comments.
Yes, he says that the thing has horns, and I think I see what he's talking about and everything. But that pertains, and then that sparked an investigation that we're actually mounting into the Perry County Goat Man case. One that my team member Gail has actually had an encounter with that John will be having on here in the coming weeks.
Yes, sir.
Did you say Perry?
I'll let him tell you that.
I think it's Perry County, Illinois. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Perry County, Illinois.
It's so crazy.
The same thing, Rhi. I was like, "Oh, Lord have mercy, not here."
I'm on a mountainside girlfriend. I don't want no goat pens.
It's so crazy. There's a Floyd County, Indiana, and everybody thinks it's Floyd County, Kentucky. No, it's not it. But
It's all perspective.
here's what I was going to ask though, and then we'll get there because we just got just a couple more minutes. We'll go over. I don't care. This is a question I want to ask because I feel like, well, good Lord, here I go.
If you guys want to go over, I'm off for 5 days. We got all night.
So okay, so if I'm not wrong here, just tell me if I'm wrong if I am or not, because I don't care. I get shit wrong anyway, so it don't matter. I feel like these apex predators like Bigfoot are they hunt in groups. They have one that's out to lure you, and the others will attack you. They'll jump you from behind or whatever. Do you kind of feel like that way, like they're hunting in packs in a way, possibly?
I do believe they go and they hunt and they do live in family units, but back in I think it was 2014, I was deer hunting on my property in Saline County, Illinois, and I was down in this draw where the deer come out of the hills to pick, and there's a creek, and I'm in my deer blind, and it's right at daybreak, and I could hear sound like a deer running across the top of the hill up to my left at about 50 yards. And I'm like, man, that something's got that deer spooked. And right up on its back, here came a Bigfoot running after that deer, caught up with the deer, got alongside of it, and got it like a PBR bullfighter does, and grabbed it by its head and took it to the ground. And all you could hear was a crack, or hearing it break its neck.
Good Lord. Mm.
Yes.
Quick and painful. Good Lord. Jeez.
Mm.
Well, I mean, he ain't going to go
I
hungry.
haven't hunted back there since.
You know what? Since we're doing stuff with all this paranormal trips, we need to come and get with you, and Daniel come up with us, and we all go out on a Sasquatch hunt. A Squatch hunt.
Squatch.
Well, we got our camp out coming up in May of next year. I extend the invitation to all three of y'all.
Lord, get me out there.
I'm sign me up. I'm ready.
I'll be staying there eating. I know RhiAnna will go anywhere with us. She's ready to go too. She's ready. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll go down there and get you both, and we'll head on up. Or
Zach,
you can come up this way since I'm north.
Zach, I make you a promise. If I come out there and we all come out there with you guys, and I'm there with you for a split second, and I'm gone, just let me go. I'm going back to camp. Just leave me be. Just give me a gun.
Not before you have a bologna sandwich with him, honey. You got to have the bologna sandwich, right?
Hot dog. I haven't said that during the whole show yet, and we'll eat a bologna sandwich together, man. We ought to eat a bologna sandwich. So.
Oh no! In my camp, we are not eating we don't eat hot dogs or bologna sandwiches. We eat real food. We're eating chicken. We're eating steak. We're eating venison. We're eating dove. We're eating turkey. We're eating anything that we can catch.
Well, that's why Bigfoot coming to the camp. All that good food, man.
Yeah, for real. I'd be wondering that way too.
I'll sneak me a bologna sandwich in there. I'll know somebody on the street that'll bring me one in there. I know I'll get around this. Anyway, we are going to be on the Paranormal podcast on June 24th. We'll be at the old hospital. Is that right, Crit? Oh, college.
It's the old hospital. You got it.
Williamson, West Virginia.
Yeah, I never say it right. But we're going to be doing a live podcast. It's just a podcast. Unfortunately, we don't have the equipment right now to do a full live stream, but as soon as we do, we are going to hit up a lot more places. And also, we have Pinhurst coming up. Still don't know 100% with that one. We're still working on things because that's.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, just everybody in Ho. I mean, with my situation with my job and everything like that. But anyway, we definitely want to extend our hands out and work with people, especially like you and Daniel, Zach, for sure. We definitely want to come out and hang out with you guys. Because I'm very interested in Bigfoot, all cryptids, UFO, stuff like that. I love that stuff. It interests me so much because.
Do y'all ever make it to Kentucky for CryptidCon? I didn't even know it was a thing until today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been.
Oh, in Lexington, that thing's been going on for over 10 years, sweetheart.
And I've lived in Lexington now for 15 and never knew. So evidently, I've had my head in the ground.
Mm-hmm. I give tickets away for CryptidCon normally every year, every other year, usually.
Well, I'm evidently just living in a hole in the wall or something. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because was it CryptidCon, RhiAnna? I got you tickets for to see Nick Groff.
And we saw Nick Groff and talked to him. Yeah,
Nick Groff. All right, Zach, my man. How can folks keep in touch with you if they need your help, anything whatsoever? How can they do that, good sir?
Okay, you can go ahead and you can email me at simhest2015 at gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook with the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters. There's 6 of us. All the team members are admins on the page. So if you send a message to the page, one of us will get back to you as soon as possible. You can find me on Instagram, Duke Randall Official, Twitter, DR Outdoors 2021, TikTok, The Real 618 Cowboy, and you can also message me privately on my Facebook personal profile. But there's a lot coming up for us. Here this Friday, I'm actually a pro wrestler too.
Oh, I saw that. I was going to mention that, but I didn't know.
And I'll be wrestling this Friday night in Johnson City, Illinois, at the Johnson City High School for the Stride Pro Wrestling presents Making the Grade.
There you go. See, Zach of all trades right there.
Zach of all trades.
And then that's for a whole other podcast. And I'll tell you, this is just the tip of the iceberg because in Southern Illinois, it's not just Bigfoot and Dogman. There's the infield monster, the Hamp Mine monster, the Big Muddy monster, the Piasaw bird, Thunderbirds, the Grim. There is the Perry County Goat Man, the Green Clawed Beast, the Stump Pond Serpent, the Mothman. And that's just a rough cornucopia of what we have in Southern Illinois, but that's for a different podcast.
We'll have to do another one. That all sounds fascinating to me.
Yeah. Coming up and also check out my outdoor show, Duke Randall Outdoors on Facebook. Duke Randall is actually my wrestling gimmick, and I started an outdoor brand with that. You can find that on Facebook, along with my YouTube channel, Zach D Starrick. You can find Mysterious Illinois, my podcast, Spreading the Good Word, Bible podcast, there as well, along with Duke Randall Outdoors and Mysterious Illinois. And I would be mighty pressed if I didn't leave you with this. A lot of people, there's a lot of negative Nancys that would look to tear anybody down in the Bigfoot community or any kind of paranormal community, just to get clout for themselves and get all eyes on them. But I'll leave it to you like this, and I'm summarizing it off the top of my head, and it's in Romans chapter 12 in the New King James Version. It says for us to love God and love your neighbor. If they're hungry, give them food. If they're thirsty, give them drink. For you will heap burning coals on their head. So basically, to summarize that and coin it, kill them with kindness, but still love them. I believe that this world would be a lot better if people actually love God and love their neighbor.
You mentioned a cryptid that we're familiar with over here in Eastern Kentucky and West Virginia is Mothman.
Mm-hmm.
That's so wild.
And then with our speaking schedule, coming up here in June, I will be at the Crab Orchard Public Library giving a camping and basic survival seminar for the summer reading program. I'll be talking about the 10 C's of survival and setting up a secure camp setup and everything from camp safety to first aid, etc. And then here in July, we're going to be really ramping it up with our basically, we're starting our lecture series starting all over Illinois. We will be giving a lecture July 16th in Pittsburgh, Illinois, at the Pittsburgh Municipal Hall through the Crab Orchard Public Library summer reading program called Squatch Fest. You can come out and meet the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters, and you can meet us, hear our lecture, have your questions answered to the best of our ability. We're working out where we got 2 more places coming up in Grayville, Illinois, which is north of Carmi out by Indiana. And then today we got scheduled I think at the end of July, the last Saturday in July, to be in Glen Carbon, Illinois, which is up north of St. Louis by Edwardsville, where Southern Illinois University Edwardsville is. So be sure to go and check it all out, because any kind of events that we have coming up, we will post it on the page. And if you missed the post, you can go to the events tab and find all of that. And then also go and check out Hunt for the Shawnee Sasquatch documentary. It's going to be coming out this year, and it's going to be really good. We've been reviewing it and everything, and trust me, I've already seen chapter 1 of it, and it's got me chomping at the bit and salivating, wanting more. So it's going to be a good one, folks.
Send it our way. Stuff you want posted for us to talk about. We'll mention it on the show at the end of it to get some more people out there. I mean, we need all of these supporters and people on here that we can get. We're not begging for viewers or anything like that. You can order if you want to. That's totally up to you. I feel like what we do is very good, and it's a good show, and it's not all uptight serious stuff like some shows I've seen. It's all about having a good time and just relaxing and just talking about our favorite stuff. That's what I like, and I like this podcast, and we do a good job at it, I think. Looks like Daniel said, I correct me if I'm wrong, this may not be Daniel. Bigfoot Zone, Ekbro. Yes, bring on the hunt. I'm hosting the Virginia Bigfoot Campout May 27th through the 30th. And also he says Zach has been one of my guest speakers at my past events and also has been
last 3 years.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, and another thing, I also forgot to throw this out there. I'm also a bass singer with a Southern Gospel Quartet, and in June or July, we'll be singing here in Southern Illinois at my church, Walnut Hill Baptist Church in Crab Orchard, Illinois. It's a free show. I invite everybody to come on out and hear us singing. And also, I want to throw that out there. If you don't have a church to go to, I invite you to come to Walnut Hill Baptist Church. It's a very loving, open arms type of church, and you don't even have to be a member. You could just be a visitor, and we still love you, and we'll love you, shake your hand, and hug your neck. Everybody's welcome.
You've gave me some ideas I've been kicking around, and this is just actually like fueled my fire a bit more. So I'll just go and tell you right now, RhiAnna and Crit, I've been thinking about trying to get a hold of the old Juliet prison in Illinois and try to go up there and do an investigation if they want.
Oh, the Joliet prison?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, I
used to live in Joliet whenever I was younger. Good luck.
That don't sound good.
Hey, all you can do is try, and all they can do is tell you is no. That's it, and move on.
Yeah.
So plain and simple. Folks, I want to thank each and every single person who came in this chat room, who watched us. I tremendously appreciate it. I know these two ladies do as well, and plus Zach. We tremendously appreciate each and every single one of you, and thank God that my dings didn't go off tonight. I saw that. Got you this time. We definitely want to thank Zach for being on here.
Yes.
Oh, crap. I almost forgot. October 8th of this year in my hometown of Harrisburg, Illinois, is the Shawnee Sasquatch Festival.
Oh, cool.
We had that last year. We had it last October, and we had 1,500 people turn out.
Wow.
Awesome. In the pouring down rain.
There you go, man. That's awesome.
Dedication.
Yeah. And
hopefully it's a free event. The only thing you really got to pay for is food.
Yeah. Here's an idea, and I just thought about this. When this DVD part 1 comes out, we can have you and the director, who I think Joe, we can have everybody that was a part of it come on here and have a big roundtable discussion, things like that about the DVD. If you're interested in it, I think that's something to be cool to set up maybe later on this year on here.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
I look forward to having y'all back on. John, Critty, Ms. RhiAnna, it was a pleasure meeting y'all and y'all having me on here. And y'all are in my thoughts and prayers, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. You have a good one.
My pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. Next Tuesday, we have a paranormal guest on the show. We have Casey Coburn. She is the tour guide for the Hinsdale House and author and paranormal researcher. The Hinsdale House is from New York, and this location has a lot of history. But I'm glad she's coming on here too. So We got
I've been tickled. We've had 2 weeks of squatching. I've been like tickled to death.
Oh yeah, Critina's. She's. Oh Lord mercy. This is the Critina Creep Show.
This is the Creep Show.
Yeah. Then after that, I'll just go throw it out here because I know Critina's going to love this. She's going to be Sasquatching all over the place. We'll have Benjamin Bishop, who is a cryptozoologist and also from the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters, will be on here. So there's another squatching. So thank you guys so much.
As me and Jessica would love to come on and chat.
Hey,
there's another one, Crit.
Absolutely. And that's Daniel, I believe. And he was a hoot to talk to last week. So it would be wonderful to meet Jessica too. I believe she's got a website. I was checking it out. I can't remember the name of it.
It's all Bigfoot stuff.
But it was all Bigfoot stuff. So I was on there shopping. Don't think I wasn't last week.
I knew it. Because I saw Critina look down and she's starting.
Yeah, I was writing it down because I was like, right there on my wall. That's where I need to have something like a big old Bigfoot, like something over there.
Lord, I've seen it. I've seen her eye when he mentioned she also does. I don't know.
He says not all.
Thank you so much for being on here, and you two hang on after this. But folks, we'll see you next Tuesday, and thank you so much for being on here.
Bye, creeps.